author of Liberty, Statue of Liberty, Liberty Bell, Let Freedom Ring, Land of the Free and Home of the Brave. It's always been about freedom and liberty to us, to the left, always about equality. So Mr. Obama cuts the military budget, gives green lights to enemies, beats up on friends, went to Europe, yes, to make a special pleading for the Olympics, but could not find time to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, which symbolized the triumph of freedom over totalitarianism. There have been 4 great generations. The founders, right? Only 1/3 of whom were patriots. Another third were loyalists on the other side. Another third were too busy, declined to state. About 75, 80 years later, the Civil War generation, the final founding father, Lincoln, who deeply understood the founders and read them carefully, and extended the promise of the founding to all through the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment and the Emancipation Proclamation. About 75, 80 years later, the third greatest generation, the greatest generation, through the Depression, the Great War, World War II. And guess what? Ellie and Jeff and all of you, time for the 4th greatest generation of Americans. I think we're up to it. You are the leaders of it. We are no longer the few, we are the many. Let's go take them in November. Thank you very much. The question is, are the radical Islamists the leaders of the one world government? I think they're the partner to it.
Yeah, I think of them as the military with culpable deniability that the leaders in the UN and Israel are using, and the global police force.
Here's how I
what that mosque in New York is intended to be.
Here's how I look at it. Did you read David Horowitz's book on Holy Alliance? And there have been several others with the same thing. How is it possible that the left, which says it's for human rights, it's not true, the right is for human rights. The right is the one that fights the wars and liberates and brings to freedom, and Ronald Reagan, right? And I talked about the Berlin Wall, what stands up for human rights. The left says they're for human rights. Why aren't they the most advocative and concerned about the attack on gays in the Arab world? Ahmadinejad, right, went to New York. Did he not go to Colombia? And he said there are no gays in Iran? Are we in the Bay Area, California? Are there 1 or 2 gay people which is fine. Why aren't they standing up every day protesting against Araby? So, what I believe is the left is pounding away at America, softening us up. And Bin Laden and his crowd, they're not stupid. They read our media, they watch our disunity, they see what goes on in our schooling, they see the protests, they see Code Pink, they see all this stuff. They see the pictures on television, they see America at war with itself when it operates abroad. Did the number 2 man in the U.S. Senate not compare our own troops to Nazi Stalinists in Khmer Rouge, Dick Durbin? Did the number 1 man in the U.S. Senate not say we've lost the war? So the enemy sees all this. This is not the same country as during World War II. You're allowed to have your freedom of speech. Yes, you can say whatever you want against this country and our troops. I don't think it's very wise, and it certainly does hurt our effort. It also hurts our national security. So I think the left is the partner of radical Islam. They're happy. Why would they be happy? I just explained how that wouldn't be in their interest. What do you think radical Islam would do to any leftists in San Francisco? Of course. But here's the secret. The left is so alienated, so hateful of the American way, the American vision, the American project, the American founding, American success, and the distinction between America and the rest of the world, all that we built. They want to tear us down. Their rage and alienation dominates, and they want a body blow against America. They'll worry about what comes next later. Next. Thank you. Hi.
Hi, thank you, Larry. I'd like to footnote in 9th A, that's asymmetrical political warfare. My question is how to help our friends who are just starting to pick themselves up off the floor after being blindsided daily, economically, spiritually, morally, in every possible way. How do we help them clear their eyes and start moving in the same direction?
So the first thing you said was about asymmetrical global warfare, and that's right, that's the age we live in now. When a missile is launched, it can fly 24/7 at the push of a button, right? It can be launched by an ununiformed, non-state actor. How do you respond? Who do you go to war against? And by the way, when you do see where it's from, through eyes in the skies, right, or heat or light signature, when you respond, you're blamed for disproportionate response because they hide them on a hospital or a school. That's the world we live in now. How do we wake people up to understand the threats to us militarily? Because we're still, right, the island nation. We don't think they'll come. Anybody know what's going on the Mexican border? Does the conversation in this country not change on a dime if jihad dares blow up a school bus here like they do in Tel Aviv or Jerusalem or a pizza parlor? Although I'm not sure I can say that, Richard, because we had 9/11. We had 9/11. People still hit the snooze button. So it's a very complicated question you ask. How do we wake people up? How do we get them more informed, more active? We're a victim of our own success. I'll close this answer with this. There's a design flaw in Western civilization. We don't have as many babies. And we grow middle class with our success in our economy and our capitalist structure. And we get a little bit older and a little bit more sated, a little bit more comfortable. And Glee is on tonight. Right? So thank you for choosing me over Glee. Yes?
You're quite an advocate. Would you accept a suitable foreign policy advising role in a future Republican administration?
If nominated, I will run. If elected to be an advisor, I will happily serve. Thank you very much.
I concur with the young man right there. But I struggle daily with the question that how do we deal with unconstitutional laws, and I will quote Public Law 87-297, signed into law by President JFK in 1961, which puts the United States under control of the United Nations.
Yeah, I'm in a big debate later in the year on the UN, and I've been studying it. It's a question about the UN. Are you all familiar with the fact that even FDR said that the United Nations should be formed by fellow democracies? It was never intended to let everybody in as some big debating society, which is the argument you hear from the left. We need a place where everybody can talk to each other. They're not talking to each other. They're ganging up on us. The first 14 Secretary Generals of the United Nations were all communists. It's an unbelievable bad place. And so I'll stipulate we have the same read on the United Nations. Can we all agree? Why don't we have a Liberty Alliance of Free Nations and get out of the United Nations?